The Chinese government has a unique problem right now. It has far too much money. For the past few weeks, Chinese officials have met with economic leaders from around the globe, eager to improve ties with Beijing. The country is estimated to have currency reserves of $2 trillion, and in this global economic climate, everyone wants a share. But the problem is that the bulk of that money is tied up in the United States, possibly as much as 70%. And an investment of that scale means the Chinese have little choice but to keep the bulk of their money where it is and hope the US recovery takes hold quickly. The economic calamity in the US was prompted in large part by the tremendous amount of debt banks were allowed to take on. To fix this and get the economy growing again, the US government is investing heavily in stimulus programs. That requires putting significant amounts of money back into the system. And the more actual currency there is, the higher the risk of inflation. To counter inflation, governments traditionally raise interest rates. But they're near zero in the States and elsewhere because raising them too high would crush the recovery. Washington must therefore exercise prudence with its fiscal policies. It needs to control the cost of goods and services and at the same time find a balance that doesn't inhibit economic growth. Not an easy task. Which means investors might want to think twice about keeping money in American markets at the moment given that risk. But the Chinese don't have that luxury, precisely because they're so heavily invested. If Beijing pulls out too much money, tempted to invest it elsewhere, it could cause panic and trigger exactly what they're trying to avoid: a run on the dollar, a new plunge in the value of the currency, and inflation shooting through the roof. That, in turn, would jeopardize all remaining Chinese investments and destroy the trade relations between the two countries, because the higher the inflation in the US, the less money Americans have to buy Chinese products. And Beijing literally cannot afford for that to happen. The American recovery right now is so fragile, Beijing can't do anything to upset it. So all of that money is stuck where it is. It's a global financial irony. When debt is large enough, it's now the lender who ends up with the risk. Owen, Al Jazeera.